It's only mid-March and the sidewalk cafes are already out. Nannies are pushing high-end strollers past the city bike rental station. If you're not from around here, you could confuse this for a downtown neighborhood in Manhattan or Brooklyn. But this is downtown Jersey City, a fairly typical sunny morning on Grove Street nowadays. But it wasn't always this way.
This, for a long time, and people who grew up here would know this, the downtown area was amongst the poorest areas in the city, and there was nothing close to the waterfront. So when people like to say, well, obviously it would develop, and of course all the rich people live downtown, and it's a tale of two cities, I generally point to them that for the 200 plus years of this city's existence, the downtown area was relatively non-existent. What
a difference a couple of decades can make. In the 1970s, these beautiful brownstones were available for less than $100,000. We'll let that sink in before we tell you that today, some of those very same homes go for over $1 million. Local developer Paul Silverman and his brother Eric purchased their first property here back in 1981. Most observers will point to those days as the very beginning of the gentrification of downtown. Did you think at that point, oh, this is an up-and-coming area?
Yes, absolutely.
You did?
Yes. We didn't know it would get to like it is now, but we knew it would improve. Beautiful buildings right next to the best city in the world, so much access to transportation, so we knew it was a matter of time. We didn't know how great it would be as it is now.
Those early days downtown were typified by vacant lots and abandoned tenements. So when the Silvermans started, they were rehabbing existing structures and building on vacant land. In fact, very few people were directly displaced by all the new development. But those new developments came with higher rents, and that resulted in higher rents for everyone else down here. Max Herman is the director of the Urban Studies program at NJCU.
Gentrification usually means that there's a population change characterized by middle and upper income people moving into a community that previously was occupied by people of lower income.
You don't like the word gentrification?
Look, I think gentrification has some negative connotations with regards to how people view it. When you say an area is being gentrified, it means that, to many people, it means that the longtime residents are being thrown out.
Since 2000, the population downtown went from just over 31,000 to almost 39,000. Poor and working class blacks went from 18% of the population to 9%. Puerto Ricans from 17% to 8%. Meanwhile, whites went from 46% of the population to 56%. Councilman Danny Rivera grew up down here and still lives downtown. He recalls the last 2 decades wistfully.
I remember even when I was in school, some of my teachers used to call it the land that God forgot, which was very bad. Downtown was a very, very rough neighborhood. But it was very family orientated. Every corner you would hear the music. On Grove Street, the Antillanos every Friday. You will have the Spanish music. Personally, I just hope that the Latino community that's left here can bring some of that back out. My father's always saying, oh my God, let's have a little party over there in the corner. I said, Pop, you can't do that anymore. But that's the mixed feelings that I have. Tradition has been lost a little bit.
Back on Grove Street, we meet Christine Goodman, who runs Art House Productions, which produces a variety of arts events around the city. How long have you been in the city? Is it 15 years?
I've personally lived here for about 18.
Yeah. So it's odd because a lot of people would say you're a newcomer, but you're like, hey, I've been here for 18 years.
Some people, consider me a newcomer. I don't feel like one, but.
Yeah. So what do you think that's about? I mean, do you think that it's like you don't maybe look like the people who lived down here? I think that's a little bit part of it.
Sure, of course. I mean, I came here for the cheap rents when I was in college, just like a lot of people, and intended only to stay for a year or two. And I stayed and really became invested in the community.
Many of those who were priced out of downtown have moved up the hill to Journal Square or the Heights or over to the Bergen Lafayette section. When our story continues tomorrow, we'll take a look at the impact gentrification is having in those parts of town. For NJTV News, I'm David Cruz.